Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Doug, Addie, and Jeremy from MCUExchange.com. And last week we posted a video saying that we wanted to start a new series asking or taking your questions and answering them about the MCU or about us. And boy, did you guys give us some questions.
Wow.
Yes, we got way more questions on that video than we were expecting. Yeah. We love it. Thank you so much. Keep the questions coming. Mm-hmm. Go down to this video, ask your questions for next week. We want way more questions than we can answer. We love that. So Thank you so much. Keep those coming. We've picked out some really great questions today. Mm-hmm. We're going to give them a shot. So that being said, let's get going.
Let's go.
All right. Our first question comes from Charles Lee, who says, what are your ideas to integrate the Fantastic Four and X-Men into the MCU? Addie, you want to answer that first?
Okay, well, I think I feel like they just have to reboot X-Men. Like, if they bought it,
Agreed.
they would just have to wipe it clean, because there are so many just, like, continuity things, even within what they have right now, that are kind of wonky already.
Even after wiping it with Days of Future Past, it got screwed up almost immediately.
Yeah, so it's just, they would just have to reboot both of them. And obviously they reboot Fantastic Four. They're not going to take what just happened.
Yes. So they reboot it. In terms of integrating it into the MCU, when do you see doing that? How do you see that happening?
I mean, this is all if.
Yeah, these are all huge ifs.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to take that part?
Yeah, I would say more so I have more ideas about Fantastic Four than I do about X-Men, because X-Men clearly isn't coming back. Right, I think soon, I think Fantastic Four at the end of Infinity War, the second movie would kind of. I think it would be possible to see them kind of like Spidey and Black Panther and Civil War in a group movie.
Right,
they be introduced, see if they work. I think, especially in a huge fight that's like needs we need everybody on Earth possible. It's like, oh right, that group of four who's kind of we don't know a lot about. They're brand new, bring them in and go.
I think that is, the way they introduce Spider-Man should be the model anytime they get characters that we've seen before back.
Yes.
New character, like Daredevil, you retell his origin story, because that movie was a long time ago.
Right, but I think
Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, we've seen it, we get it, get to the good part.
Right.
I agree.
Right.
All right, cool. Moving on.
Well, X-Men.
Oh, right, X-Men. Actually, I have something about this. Marcus and McFeely, the writers for Civil War and Winter Soldier and Infinity War, were actually asked about this, and they loved their answer. They said that if they got X-Men back, they'd want to kind of give Wolverine a break and focus on Cyclops.
Which is what the comics
do and what they need to do, because we've had so much Wolverine, and Hugh Jackman's such a great Wolverine.
Yeah.
If they get the rights to him back, let him rest, focus on the other X-Men for a while.
And the other thing is, if they get the X-Men, that means they get Deadpool, and he should stay exactly the same. They should keep Ryan Reynolds. But they should also.
I feel like
they should also keep Ryan Reynolds remembering everything and making funny studio jokes in his solo movies. When he's in the group,
I don't know.
I think when he's in the group,
I don't know if I'd like to see Deadpool's style of fourth wall breaking in the MCU.
Well, what I think would happen is if he starts to do it, someone punches him in the face. Right as soon as he starts to do it, like Thor's hammer just knocks him. Like every time, it's like that becomes a running gag.
Yeah.
So instead of having to deal with the fourth wall breaks,
but again, I feel like that edges towards something that I wouldn't necessarily too on the nose, too mad for the MCU.
But that is the one casting out of the X-Men and Fantastic Four that I would want to
keep the same.
But
I agree.
You wouldn't want to
see Deadpool.
But you wouldn't want to see Fassbender as Magneto?
No,
McAvoy
I would say, because of what Addie said, the world is already so convoluted, so full of plot.
And Deadpool isn't there right now.
Wipe the whole thing.
Ian McKellen.
I love what the X-Men movies have done, especially in terms of casting. But wipe it all out and start anew.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Aidan Rutter, or Rooter, asks, Lego released a Marvel airport kit with a giant man, huge minifigure all the way back in April. I haven't seen Civil War yet as of time of writing, but what do you think of toys spoiling a film like this?
First off,
go ahead.
Go see Civil War. If not, there's a few spoilers in this.
And sorry, Aiden, for getting spoiled before you saw the movie.
Yeah,
That's an awesome moment. And with Lego's an interesting case, because more often than not with Lego, when they release a playset for a movie, it's about a scene that has nothing to do with the movie at all, or very tangentially related.
Yeah.
I think for Dark Knight Rises they had like Batman and his submarine or something.
Right.
Like, don't worry about that. But Funko Pop, which
Funko
they
Pop
do release movie characters.
Yeah, and they're very picky about which costume to use.
Yes, and when they announced a Giant Man bobblehead figure, which is awesome, but it kind of ruined the surprise for me. I knew about it far in advance.
I knew about it from the Lego one.
It was disappointing.
I get it though. They want to get those toys out there immediately. And
that's the thing. You're not going to not market a toy because of movies.
The kids see a Giant Man. They're like, cool.
Right.
It doesn't register in their head, and it sucks for like our age and older because it's like,
it sucks for people who aren't kids, but for people who are kids, they just like the toy.
But that's what they're aiming for. They're aiming for kids. So it's I understand. It sucks though. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I think they have plenty. I think the MCU has plenty of toys to sell that they can wait.
Oh, but it's not the MCU that's selling the toys.
No, I know. But I think the licensing for new characters or movie spoilers should say you gotta wait until we say something about it.
Yeah, go tell a toy company that they have to wait months to make money.
Clearly it's not. I mean, clearly it's not a business strategy.
Sure,
this is what I'd rather.
I see what you're saying. All right, but so to answer the question, none of us like it, but it's kind of a sad reality that's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
All right, so SeeThroughScreen asks, what do you think the untitled Marvel films will be? And do you believe in superhero fatigue? So the untitled Marvel films that SeeThroughScreen is talking about are the three movies that are announced for 2020. I think one of them will be, I think Feige has said
Guardians 3.
High up on that list is Guardians 3, which I think that's pretty much a done deal at this point. I think that the Inhumans movie might make that 2020 spot. I don't know. I'm not a betting man, but I wouldn't put money on it. I think the Inhuman slot, or not the Inhuman slot, but the late 2019 slot will go to a
Spider-Man sequel. Iron Man 4?
Maybe
Iron Man
one of those
4?
slots.
I think that probably.
Unless he dies.
Well, right. Unless he dies in Infinity War. Favreau and Robert Downey Jr. have both talked about, like, oh yeah, I could do another movie. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Iron Man 4. I think we'll see one new property in 2020, though.
Yeah.
I think if we get 3 movies in 2020, 2 will be sequels, one will be new.
I mean, I could see, since there's all the talk about the Black Widow right now, maybe one of those slots is going to go to her.
I'd love to see that.
Especially that it's like a completely new slate that she, like, maybe there's like no more superheroes, or I don't know, like.
Right, depending on the fallout.
She's the lead, like she's the only original Avenger that's left, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Like
I would love to see Black Widow, and I think Feige's comments and everything have suggested that we might see one sooner rather than later. So 20, that'd be a good slot for it, and it would be.
And it's kind of like a new property. I mean, like we've seen her, but she's never.
That's a new franchise, not a new character.
I mean,
yeah, for sure.
The rest of that question though, superhero fatigue.
Yeah, let's talk about that,
because that's a phrase that gets thrown around a lot.
Yeah,
by critics, but just a lot, and also just coming right off of the difference between Batman v Superman now to Civil War. And, like, Batman v Superman came out and people were like, superhero fatigue. And then Civil War came out and made however much money.
It's made like $750 million in its first 2 weeks. Yeah, it's awesome. It's funny that we only ever see this with superhero movies. Nobody asks if we're getting comedy fatigue. Nobody asks if we're getting romance movie fatigue or action movie fatigue. I think superhero movies have become a varied enough genre that superhero is really only the first part of the genre.
Yeah.
Ant-Man or Guardians of the Galaxy is not the same genre as The Dark Knight.
Right.
They both happen to be based on comic books, but that's like saying all movies based on novels are the same genre.
Yeah, but then again, there's the case of Westerns. I would argue personally that superhero movies, instead of a broad genre like comedy or romance, are much more in tune to a little more specific sci-fi or Western. And
okay, but I disagree on sci-fi, but I think I disagree on Western. I think sci-fi nobody's talking about we have sci-fi fatigue. Because there's hard sci-fi like Star Trek.
Right.
There's sci-fi fantasy like Star Wars.
Right. And then there's like sci-fi horror, alien, whatever.
There's a dystopian future. I mean,
but
sci-fi is a broad genre, whereas Westerns, except for, the Blazing Saddles or the Million Ways to Die in the West.
Blazing Saddles.
Oh, me too. Blazing Saddles is great, but other than the movies that are sort of making fun of the genre,
right.
The Western genre is a very narrow genre. Yeah. The movies do kind of feel similar.
Yeah, I just think the thing that's more, and that that people, when they talk about fatigue, is that Westerns had a very big boom and a very hard bust.
Right.
They had a very big 20-year boom with all of the classics of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Treasure of the Sierra Madre, right? All of those, and then they stopped until a couple years ago, and now we're actually getting a pretty hard resurgence.
I agree, yeah.
With Westerns coming out, and I think people, when they talk about superhero fatigue, are going along the same of, in 10 years, are we still going to see 3 superhero movies? Well, not even 3 from one studio a year, meaning
are we going to see 6 or 7
a year? Especially
I think what's going to save the superhero genre from what happened to the Western is the fact that you can make a superhero movie that's a dark drama like The Dark Knight, or a silly, irreverent comedy like Deadpool.
Right.
Yeah, and that's kind of up to the studios too, because I feel like sometimes some studios can just make a superhero movie that there's no other variant to it. I don't know how you guys feel about the upcoming Netflix X-Men trailer. It just kind of looks like a superhero.
Yeah, it looks a little generic.
It's not comedic. It's not even darker. It's just the generic superhero movie.
Yeah, and I think movies like that will start to die out because I think superheroes are a popular thing right now.
Yes.
They won't be a popular thing forever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that means the genre is going to die out. I think it means fewer studios will make them because they're less bankable.
Yeah.
But I don't think we'll see a bust like
right. I agree. I
think we'll see 2 or 3 a year instead of 7 or 8 a year.
Right. I do think there will be a little bit of superhero fatigue, but I think that'll probably be good for the industry because people will realize that just saying, okay, let's take popular comic book name here, throw them in a movie and make bland movie X a thing. I think they're going to have to say, okay, if we're doing this, we need to make it good. We need to make this movie not even stand out in some way. They don't have to be all dark or all comedy. They just have to be good.
They have to be
They
good.
can be like Days of Future Past. Was it just it wasn't one or the other. It was just a good movie.
Right.
And that's I do think there is now a little bit of superhero fatigue, and I do think really Batman v Superman kind of shows that.
No. See, that is what I disagree with because Batman v Superman was just a shitty movie.
Right.
And if you like Batman v Superman, good for you. I'm glad.
We're not here to argue that.
We're not here to discuss.
I'm talking more about the box office record right now than anything else.
It was successful at the box office. It was
not like they planned.
No, it was underwhelming, but it was successful.
Yeah, it's still
sure.
A movie does not make $900 million and lose money for a studio. It was a successful movie, but it was an underperforming movie.
Yes.
That is not an indication of superhero fatigue. That's an indication of shitty movie fatigue.
That's what you can say about Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Exactly, yeah. Amazing Spider-Man 2 made money, not as much as it should have, because people didn't like it.
Right, but I think superhero fatigue and bad movie fatigue kind of go hand in hand.
No, I think when people talk about superhero fatigue, though, they're talking about the genre in general.
Right.
They're saying, I don't want to see Civil War. I don't want to see another Avengers movie.
Right.
But if they're good,
people will go.
People do. So that's not fatigue. That's just people liking good movies and not liking bad ones.
Yes. Yeah.
Sure.
So, yeah, I think that eventually the genre will become less popular, and we will see fewer of them, but I think most of the ones that get weeded out will be the bad ones.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's not an easy paycheck for a studio anymore.
Right. And I think we're also seeing the same thing on the TV side as well. Very much so. I think we're seeing it more on the TV side than the movie side right now.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, let's keep going.
All right, so Andrew Watson asks, do you think that Marvel will ever make a genuinely bad movie? And if so, which one do you think it will be?
Addie?
I don't think it'll happen at least for a few years. I don't think it'll happen in Phase 3, because if you look at all the movies, I just don't, like, there's some at least one redeeming quality in each one.
Before we talk about this, because we talked about this before we started.
Right.
We need to make a distinction here between a mediocre or disappointing movie and a straight up bad one.
Yeah.
And so all film is subjective. There's no way to definitively say whether a movie's bad. But I think the way we're going to kind of determine it is
like a Rotten
score on Rotten Tomatoes. So critic consensus is that it's a bad movie. Yeah. So that being said, go ahead, Addie.
Looking at all the films in Phase 3, I just don't think any of them will have a rotten score. Mm-hmm. I guess I'll put it that way. But I know Feige's contract is up when Phase 3 ends. Supposedly. Yeah. So if he leaves and they get a new, like, leader of the MCU, I feel like that could be the point, depending on who is the head of the MCU.
Right. I 100% agree with you. I think I think Feige knows exactly what he's doing, and if the movies under his reign aren't great, they'll at least be decent.
Yeah.
But I don't think we'll see a straight up bad one until Feige 100% agree.
I also think there's going to be a lot of struggle for the fallout of Infinity Wars. I think they're going to have to be very, very careful about which direction they go.
I agree. I think Phase 4...
what happens. I think Phase 4, if we're getting a bad movie, is going to be then. I think there will be a movie that I personally do not like before then, just because they have such a wonderful track record now that it's just so unprecedented that I don't see them not making, to me, a bad one. But I think, like, critical score, all that... I think Phase 4 will be where it happens.
That's the big question.
If it does, and I really hope it doesn't.
I totally agree, because we don't know what's going to happen after the second Infinity War. Yeah. It just could be, like, completely new universe where, like, maybe there's just a handful still the same. Right. And if Feige left and let someone else have to deal with that, that's hard.
Yeah, it could be tough. Yeah. I agree.
So
I mean, and even if he doesn't leave, it's still it's such a job. To figure out what to do with all of these characters, depending on who's alive, who's dead, what's happened.
Right. Yeah. No, I completely agree.
It's such a hard task.
All right. Cool. So our final question of the day comes from Diego Roman, who asks, and this is my favorite question: what two characters in the MCU would you like to see meet the most? Addie, go ahead.
Okay. This one's really stupid and won't ever. It's not stupid. It just won't ever happen. I want Peter Parker and Jessica Jones to meet. Okay. Because he's the youngest superhero. Yeah. He's so innocent and, like, just so happy to, like, meet people, like, even when he's fighting them.
Right.
And then with, like, Jessica
And then you have Jessica Jones, who's just this jaded, alcoholic, super-powered woman.
Yeah.
And, like, just, like, no energy. Lots of energy.
Yeah,
and just,
I think that would be
seeing
hilarious.
them happen would just be, like...
I mean, they both live in New York.
I mean, like, they live close, so, like, it could happen. But just, like, seeing that interaction, the energy level, the age, the experience.
Yeah. I think Jessica would probably pity Peter.
Yeah, she'd be like, you don't know what's
innocent, naive nature.
Well, it also depends on when she meets Peter. If she meets Peter in, like, a couple movies,
I'm saying, like, right now, especially that he's, like, not even really he's not in the Avengers, and, like, he probably, like, doesn't think she's not powerful, because, Kristen Ritter's, like,
he probably has no idea who she is.
Yeah, and so he, like, if they were, like, were fighting, he would be surprised by her power.
Yeah.
Jeremy, how about you?
I want to see Daredevil and Ant-Man meet, because I think the idea of Daredevil using his senses and Ant-Man being, like, this big, just, like, all over him, Daredevil would be like, what is happening? Daredevil
would
be...
Or just even, like, getting huge, he's like, what?
What's
just
going
on?
Even like, just the change, but also just, like, Daredevil's never met anything like a tiny little human, just crawling around, punching him really, really hard, and then being tiny, and then growing, and I love Scott. I love Paul Rudd, and, like, the little quips he could put in there, making fun of a blind dude would be so funny. Well, I think it'd be great.
I think because it's Paul Rudd, I think Ant-Man meeting just about anybody.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Very
but
true.
That's a great one.
I think the added senses of Daredevil, though, would just make it so funny.
I completely agree. For me, unlike you guys, mine's probably going to happen pretty soon. Yeah. I would love to see Star-Lord and Captain America meet.
Yeah.
Because both of them are kind of men out of time.
Right. Around the same age. If you discount the hundreds of years of frozen.
And both of them have these kind of weird experiences but it would not surprise me at all if young Peter Quill learned about Captain America, the dead World War II hero, in school.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Peter Quill knew exactly who Captain America was, but of course thinks he's like this dead propaganda figure.
Right.
It's like if Rosie the Riveter or Uncle Sam all
like,
of a sudden like walked through our door.
Yeah.
And they're real and they're here. Like,
yeah. Except if
And the fact that, I mean, he's trying to give himself a name in space, he's trying to call himself Star-Lord.
Oh my God.
It would not surprise me in the least if Peter Quill had some admiration already for
that'd be great.
Captain America.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really love it. I mean, I hope it's gonna happen.
I'm sure.
I think it's going to happen.
I don't think it
probably
can't.
part 1 of Infinity War.
Yeah.
It's more like I can't wait for that to happen.
Yeah. All right.
Great.
Well, we have so many more questions, but that's going to do it for us today, guys.
Yeah.
Again, please jump into the comments right now. Ask your questions. The more we get, the longer we can keep this going. We'll be back on Friday for the next episode of MCUEx and on next Monday for your next Q&A. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. My name's Doug Herring. Make sure to follow us at the MCU Exchange on Twitter or at MCU Exchange on Facebook. Check out MCUExchange.com for everything related to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Addie?
I'm Addie. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Addie Bree.
I'm Jeremy. Follow me Instagram, Twitter, Jeremy_Stewart. And this might be my last video. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do one next week. For the question that was asked, I am moving to my hometown of Los Angeles post-grad to be an actor. Which is, I mean, we kind of...
Instead of being an actor here, but it's fine.
So I'll still be, hopefully still making a few appearances in some videos.
Yeah, we're not letting you get away from us that easy.
Yeah, so there's the answer to that question, too.
All right, so we answered 6 questions today.
Woo!
Fantastic.
Boom.
Keep the questions coming, guys.
Go.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.